Let's begin this episode with this beautiful song compiled and written by me. The pitch is dusty, the pitch is green, the pitch is dusty, the pitch is green, the pitch is dusty, the pitch is green. It all seems Greek to me. It all seems Greek to me. The batters are getting rusty, rusty. The batters are getting rusty, rusty. The ballers say they're on a high. The ballers say they're on a high. Is it the green or the methamphetamines? The pitch is dusty. The pitch is green. The pitch is dusty. The pitch is green. The batters are getting rusty, rusty. The batters are getting rusty, rusty. The ballers are on a high. Is it the green or the methamphetamines? With pseudo experts who can't differentiate between A and Z, with pseudo experts who can't differentiate between A and Z, because they have microphones in their hands, they are buzzing like bees. With pseudo experts who can't differentiate between A and Z because they have microphones in their hands, they are buzzing like bees. With the color of the ball going from red to pink, with the color of the ball going from red to pink, it made the batters see red and they became dead as a doornail. With the color of the ball going from red to pink, it made the batters see red and they are dead as a doornail. With the ball spitting like a cobra, with the ball spitting like a cobra, everyone looks for a vaccine. Everyone looks for a vaccine. With the ball spitting like a cobra, with the ball spitting like a cobra, everyone looks for a vaccine. Everyone looks for a vaccine. The batters want something resembling a road. The batters want something resembling a road. The bowlers want everything that turns their hands into gold. The batters want something resembling a road. The bowlers want everything that turns their hand into gold. The pitch is dusty, the pitch is green. The pitch is dusty, the pitch is green. This is my rap, this is my song. Who do you think will be the first one to hear the gong? Welcome back after the break. With the main event of the Test World Cup at stake, that is the finals of the World Test Championship. Both India and Australia have a chance to make it and face New Zealand. India can make it if the fourth match is drawn, that is, there is no result or India wins 3-1. Australia can win if England somehow equalize the series and end the series at 2-all. So who are going to be the lucky 11 who will play in this particular match? Lot of permutation and combination at stake. Lot of players taking a leave due to personal reasons. Lot of players not playing because of injuries, other players coming back, combinations of 3+2, 2+3, who should play, who should not play. As my song says, with the ball spitting like a cobra, they all look for a vaccine. Let's see who are going to be the lucky 11 in this particular instance. As always, Rohit and Gill should open unless they have other ideas and feel that Gill hasn't made runs, and they may just give Rahul or Mayank Agarwal a chance. So it's a chance that Gill may make way for Rahul or Mayank. The Gill hasn't made runs as he is expected to. Pujara and keeps his place at number 3 despite the low scores and all the criticism achieved after the highs of what happened last year. Kohli is the captain, so he is going nowhere, though the concern is that he hasn't made 100 in over 2 years. Well, that's a concern I'm not concerned about. So, what if he hasn't made hundreds? Is that the only way to weigh that a batter is good? Maybe the batters are getting rusty, and the pitch is green, the pitch is dusty. Let's go further. Rahane also keeps his place because they have no other player in that position. So Pujara, Kohli, Rahane at 3, 4, and 5 keep their respective positions. Then Pant, well, he keeps his place because he is at the moment a very good keeper, batter, keeper, batsman, keeper, any permutation combination we may want. Then the all-rounders in Ashwin, Akshar Patel, Ishan Sharma, and then the two fast bowlers, and of course Kuldeep Yadav as the third spinner, and of course at number 11 Umesh Yadav or Siraj. So this is the team that may step out because they know all they need to do is draw the match. England know if they win 2-all, which means neither England nor India go into the main event of the Test World Cup or the finals of the World Test Championship, and New Zealand, who sneak through due to whatever controversial permutations and combinations as dictated by the mandate of the International Cricket Board. Well, that's a matter. Let's put it to rest. So these are the 11 players, and of course another important thing is what happens after that. After that, the Indian domestic World Cup starts, as everybody knows that clearly. But let's concentrate on this. Of course, toss becomes such a major factor. A simple thing as spinning of the coin becomes a major factor. And now the ball is back to pink. It's a 10 a.m. start. It's a morning start, not an afternoon start. So things will be different, as is the complications in this particular sport, because the color of the ball changes the color of the match. If the white ball means runs galore, the pink ball means the match ending in 2.5 to 3 days. The red ball means runs scored, wickets taken, and whatever happens. And looking at what went in the previous match, will that influence team? Will that influence the England team to force themselves to go with the extra spinner, which means they might drop one between Archer or Stuart Broad? They might keep Anderson as one of the bowlers. It is a possibility, but they have to go with two fast bowlers simply because Ben Stokes has not been given the confidence that yes, you are my third fast bowler, you are my all-rounder, and therefore I want Ben Stokes as my all-rounder to bowl more. What is the reason of Ben Stokes not bowling? It reduced England to mainly 4 3/4 bowlers. Well, that's something which needs to be looked at. But before we go further into this debate, let's take a short break. Welcome back after the short break. Let's continue this discussion. It is the first lane to a spot at the main event of this particular tournament. It will be a great deal looking at how things have been, how this sport has been over the past few centuries. But now there is a matter of shame. While the entire world is focused on either Olympics or the Australian Open or this particular sport and the various domestic and the international tournaments which hover around, there is another tournament which is going on, but the broadcasters have decided not to telecast that. The hockey matches have started. The hockey team is in Europe practicing for the Olympics and future tournaments such as the World Cup, which is 2 years away in 2023. But nowhere on any broadcaster or any of these channels are the hockey matches broadcasted. Is it a matter of shame? It is a matter of shame that the broadcasters have decided that they will not bother even talking about this particular tournament. You look at how this tournament was given. In a full page, this sport 33% was 70% was given to cricket as always. 15% was given to the obsession over Australian Open and the three great tennis players, and 15%, in fact I would even call it 2.5%, was given to this particular sport. That yes, a sport that hockey has restarted, but not much of a bother because it was given not even 50% of the page. No discussions around it. So I don't even know where they're actually playing. It's not being broadcasted. So it's back to square one as far as hockey is concerned. It's back to what it was 15-20 years ago. Just a small mention at the bottom of the newspaper. Apart from that, no mention that an important tournament in Olympics is around the corner, especially for this sport. And 2 years later, the World Cup is also around the corner, but no broadcasting, no mention. The obsession with a few sports continues. Let's take a short break. Welcome back after the break. Let's take our discussion to another entertainment sport. That is, now the third pay-per-view is around the corner. 2 weeks from this Monday at Fastlane, the final pay-per-view before the WrestleMania, the Manic tournament which happens every year. And now with the WWE World Championship changing hands twice in 1 week. In fact, in a matter of 2 days, in a matter of a week, in fact, when Miz cashed in his money in the bank to beat Drew McIntyre and take the title immediately the next week, Bobby Lashley in a match between him and Miz, in fact, in a lumberjack match. What is a lumberjack match? Well, where all the WWE wrestlers, the male wrestlers in this situation, they surround the ring and make sure that the wrestlers remain inside. They are not disqualified due to countouts, or they don't do anything which can disqualify them. And after all this, Bobby Lashley went on to win his first ever World Championship. And now it's a very interesting situation. On one brand, there is Roman Reigns, flanked by Paul Heyman as his special advisor. On the other brand, an equally potent wrestler turning heel is Bobby Lashley, who also wins his first ever World Championship, flanked by someone who is very similar to Paul Heyman in terms of the way he has changed the attitude of this particular wrestler. So, one hand, there is the world champion Bobby Lashley. On the other hand, there is the Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Bobby Lashley flanked by MVP, Roman Reigns flanked by Paul Heyman. And if there was a dream match between two wrestlers who have turned heel over the past year, this match would have been mouth watering. But for that, we may have to wait another 5-6 months before the Survivor Series pay-per-view, and we all know anything can happen from now till then. Drew McIntyre may as well win back his title. Sheamus could be heading the main event of WrestleMania. There is already knowledge that Edge versus Roman Reigns has become a reality, but before that, there is a pay-per-view which will happen. And then comes another question. If Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns survive their respective opponents at the Fastlane pay-per-view, and going by their attitudes and the heel turn and their maneuvers, their knockout maneuvers, where it's either the hurt locker or the guillotine, and the way they keep their energy intact by making sure that it's the opponent who expands more energy than themselves, they might as well main event their respective WrestleMania events, and will make sure that it will be Edge versus Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley versus Sheamus or McIntyre, and also add former champions such as Randy Orton, AJ Styles into the mix. So it will be a very interesting situation as to how the Fastlane pay-per-view goes. And if that goes as per plan of MVP and Paul Heyman, you may not even see either of these two defending their titles at this pay-per-view, and in fact make sure that they keep their energy to defend their respective titles at WrestleMania. Before we go further, let's take a short break. Welcome back after the break. Before the discussion goes into the opponents of Lashley and Reigns, let's return for a moment to this match which starts tomorrow. The match which has serious implications as to who will be in the finals. So the external pressure will rise, and how the two teams react, because England have obviously been embarrassed by the events of the previous match. The discussion has been on something other than the skill of the batters, but that's what this sport is about. And the most interesting thing is as to how all the experts and the pseudo experts have come with a similar defense. When the pitch, the most interesting thing that happened in the match, was criticized for spitting like a cobra, or it was dusty, all the pseudo experts and other former players came up with a similar line of defense, that nobody questions when similar thing happen in other countries. Well, here the pitch was dusty, in other countries the pitch is green. Here the batters got rusty. Here the pitch became a talking point. There the skills of the batters become a talking point. It's as if it's a copy paste kind of defense. Everyone, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's almost a copy paste kind of defense. Everyone is coming up with a similar line of defense as if they're just simply copying and pasting from others' notes or tweets or in the pseudo media. Before we go further, let's take a short break. Welcome back after the break. Enough of this discussion about whether the pitch is green, the dusty, the batters are getting rusty, or who will head main event at WrestleMania, or whether both Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley will keep their respective titles. Let's move on to a new thing. Let's read from the Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle, Chapter 1, The Adventures of Silver Blaze. Excellent. In this bag, I have one of the boots which Straker wore, one of Fitzroy Simpson's shoes, and a cast horseshoe of Silver Blaze. My dear Inspector, you surpass yourself. Holmes took the bag and descending into the hollow, he pushed the matting into a more central position. Then, stretching himself upon his face and leaning his chin upon his hands, he made a careful study of the trampled mud in front of him. "Hullo," said he suddenly. "What's this?" It was a wax vesta, half burned, which was so coated with mud that it looked at first like a little chip of wood. "I cannot think how I came to overlook it," said the inspector with an expression of annoyance. "It was invisible, buried in the mud. I only saw it because I was looking for it." "What, you expected to find it?" "I thought it not unlikely." He then took the boots from the bag and compared the impression of each of them with marks upon the ground. Then he clambered up to the rim of the hollow and crawled about among the ferns and bushes. Before we go further, let's take a short break. Welcome back after the break. "I'm afraid that there are no more tracks," said the inspector. "I have examined the ground very carefully for 100 yards in each direction. Indeed, I should not have the impertinence to do it again after what you say, but I should like to take a little walk over the moor before it grows dark, that I may know my ground tomorrow. And I think that I shall put this horseshoe into my pocket for luck." And this ends episode number 333 on the 3rd of March 2021.
For more awesome content, tune in to the next episode of the Weekly Show.